Hey,
Sandra, can you hear me?
I can
We're
hear
gonna look
you.
on Facebook, guys. This is been like I. We're on live. Check it out.
Hello, everybody.
Okay, it's official.
Hey,
Sandra, can you hear
I
me?
gotta tell you, this has been an unbelievable experience, guys. I typically go through my shrink wrap to get everything on, but it just wasn't working today. So we now actually have Sandra Godley from BBC Coventry Radio. Thank you, Sandra, for joining us today, all the way from
well,
England.
you're welcome.
We
I've got
got to get
time.
you. We got to get you on. We got to get you on enough because I know you got something to do early tomorrow morning to get up to host your show, and I want to hear a little bit about that today. Carol, thank you for joining me all the way 8 minutes down the road. But my goodness, I could have jogged to you and back by now by the time we got this up and going. So today, guys, we just want to talk to you all. Just have a conversation about World Mental Health Day. It's upon us, and Sandra, I think when you and I had talked originally about doing this, we. Yeah, we wanted to do it quickly. We wanted to get it done on the day for World Mental Health Day, and so that's why we're here today to talk about it. I loved what you put out on Facebook, and Carol, I don't know if you were able to see the graphic that Sandra put out, but it was talking about carrying around our baggage.
Oh, I know
It was this image of this lady walking around with this ginormous purse that reached all the way to the ground, and all of the baggage that we carry with us. So, Sandra, talk to us a little bit about, just briefly, kind of what that image means to you, and kind of what your thoughts were when you were talking about the whole carrying around our baggage. I
Yeah,
love that analogy.
yeah. I mean, I try and find the image. The image is of a woman with a huge, ginormous bag, but of course, men carry bags as well. And I think the idea the picture's portraying is the stuff that we carry around for years or for that sometimes lies heavy and deep into our bags, representing a lot of things that we carry in our lives, like hurts, like past experiences, like hopes and dreams as well. And if it's anything like my bag, just debris, crumbs, things that I should have thrown out a long time ago. And the picture to me just kind of explains the fact that we carry a lot of this stuff around with us all day, every day. We then become misshapen with the weight of this bag that we're carrying, and it becomes normal that it's actually part of our accessory, and we don't question why when we put our hands in our bag there's danger because we might have an instrument in there, maybe a pair of scissors or something, or an old experience that we keep trying to relive, that kind of thing. So it's a really powerful image, and I know that I carry things that have long gone out of my life, I think, but really they're still there, and it just takes a little bit of digging, a little bit of readjustment of the other baggage in my world that actually then exposes there for a long time. And I guess it's just to encourage people that we just need to clear our bags out sometimes, and maybe get someone to take it off our shoulders and have a good old rummage through on our behalf, because often we don't want to face what's in there. And so that, I don't know whether you want to add to that and what that means to you, but it's a powerful image. We do carry around baggage.
Yeah, Carol, you and I both are mental health practitioners, and I think we can both relate and resonate so much with what she says. What kind of things do you see that your clients are bringing in this season of the pandemic that we're in this season of in the environment that we're under?
Yeah. I guess the one word I could think of is escalation. I mean, it's just an increase, a heightenedness, a heightened sense of fear, a heightened sense of uncertainty, and a heightened sense of just where are we at in this world, and what is this world? I was reading an article not too long ago where a psychologist was talking about our ability to be able to take on surges. And the trouble is, we're in sort of this continuous, repetitive surge after surge after surge after surge. We are not hardwired to be able to do that, because we can't go into recovery, we can't go into grieving, and then we can't rebuild from that because it's ongoing.
Yes.
So the stress is enormous.
And that just kind of goes along, Sandra, with what you were talking about with the bag. I mean, going through that event after event after event, we just pile it and throw it into the bag, throw it into the bag, throw it into the bag. And when we can't get it out of the bag or dump some of that bag along the way. It just goes in and just begins to start wearing us down, you know?
Yeah.
And that reminds me so much, guys, of just that whole trauma process. When trauma goes in, or things that we experience through life, that they go into that fight or flight. Oh yeah, so Sandra,
I don't know if you can see it.
Oh my
people
gosh,
can
yes.
see.
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
there
it.
you go.
Oof, that's a big bag.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a big
Right.
bag, you know, and I love that image because, quite honestly, I think even that bag itself is a small bag for some of us.
Well, that
I
bag
didn't
is
get it.
2020 right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the new Gucci 2020 edition, right
Yeah.
there. You know, but when that trauma goes in, and we don't have any place for it to go because another trauma piles right on top of it, and another trauma piles right on top of it, before long it's all up in that brain, just circling and circling and circling with nowhere to go. And so eventually one more trauma is going to tip the bag over, and all of it's going to come out at one time, which could be very overwhelming for people as well. So how would you ladies think, I mean, what would you think of encouraging people in a sense of kind of, I don't want to say dumping the bag completely, but taking things out of the bag along the way? How do we do that in life, particularly in the time that we're in?
Okay. Sandra, you want to take that?
Well, you go.
Okay, I guess I would say that, one of the things I remember in my training was talking about, and this is in non-pandemic times, by the way, a long time ago, which was that paying close attention to self-care as a practitioner, and also the doing something on a regular basis that will dump them. So I think that is, if this being World Mental Health Day, I think if we need to continue, both as practitioners and both as people who are not practitioners, to continue to promote mental health being as vital as taking care of your physical health, continuing to destigmatize that there is something wrong with going to see somebody to talk about something, because we know a lot more now about how neural pathways work and the areas of the brain, and that the body keeps the score in all of this. And it does make a difference. So I say searching somebody out. And I'll disclose totally, as a practitioner, I got my check under the hood guy in Austin that I go to, as a practitioner, to dump the stuff as well. So it isn't just something that is for other people,
I like the fact that you say practice what you preach too. It's good for us, all of us mental health professionals, or anybody really who is encouraging people to do something about their mental health, to be very aware and being very willing to do something about our own along the way. Because if we take it on and we take it on, we take it on. I was just having that conversation, with Michelle, my wife, this morning, about how practitioners, what we're seeing or what I'm feeling is like at the beginning of the pandemic, for example, it was like everyone was very fearful about what was to come. In the middle of it, we were all like just tired, and we were ready to do something about it.
Yeah.
On the other end of it now, toward where we are at this point, I am seeing people just are very, very just done with it.
Me too.
It's coming out in a very different way. People are very angry, and people are their emotions are even more escalated than they've been. And if we don't get it out of the bag along the way, it could be a bit of a problem. Part of that is communication. Sandra, you and I have talked quite extensively of just about the power of communicating, and the power of how we communicate with people, and what all goes into that. And you and I were just speaking earlier this morning about that a little bit. Would you like to talk a little bit about kind of the importance of how we communicate with others to make sure that, number one, we're heard, and that we're getting our thoughts across, and that we can actually connect as individuals, because at this point it's so important that we connect.
Yeah, I think there are many barriers to communication that really trip us up, and we get out of the habit of actually doing simple things like picking up the phone and speaking and hearing someone's voice, their intellect, the emotion behind what they're saying. So we've got out of that habit because technology means that you can text somebody. But do you know what? If I could put a campaign together that says stop the emojis, I would, because an emoji can never, ever, ever replace what I'm actually trying to say. And I'm thinking of one particular person in my life that I constantly have had that sort of communication challenge, because I don't use things like emojis or various works of art, as they were, to express how I'm very much a tactile person. I'll touch you as I'm talking. I'll open my eyes widely. I'll raise and lower my I'm human. But sometimes I've got myself in a lot of trouble because I haven't put an emoji on to calm down the sentence that I put in, in the text of 5 words, and I misinterpreted it as something really quite violent from me. And it's like, no, that's not what I'm trying to be. And so I refuse subject my emotions and to sort of be translated by this small icon. And so I will pick the phone up deliberately, even if I have, something very small to talk about. But that is a huge barrier for me, that we don't use face-to-face. We don't hear each other.
Yes.
We don't telephone each other. And we seem to have lost the art of introducing ourselves, of explaining what we want to say, clearly, finding good words, adjectives, nouns, all that kind of stuff. The English language seems to be watered down by the replacement of short messages that you then have to dress up with emojis. And my heart really is, particularly to the person I've been dealing with, and to everybody else, talk to each other. Pick up the phone and talk. You will feel good. Stuttering and stammering, that's all part of you communicating. And don't be lost in the kind of wave of short context messages that really do more damage often than good. And I've more time unraveling what you've just tried to say than the fact that you could just pick up the phone and say hi, and they think immediately, oh wow, that's what you mean. That's the kind of hi you're trying to say. Oh Lord. So yeah, barriers are really, really want us to stop that and bring down those barriers.
Yes.
We did it before phones came into action or devices, and it was actually okay.
Somehow we did it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree. So Carol, the thing that I hear Sandra saying is just that wall or that barrier that is sometimes just not very permeable when we're communicating in these electronic kinds of ways. What would you say, because I know you're, for the people who are watching, Carol is a licensed clinical social worker and a marriage and family therapist, licensed marriage and family therapist. Communication in the family system is extremely, it's important everywhere, but you talk a lot about it in the sense of family dynamics and family systems. What would you leave the listeners with as far as like communication and the pitfalls to watch for when it comes to the area of communicating over electronic devices as opposed to just, like Sandra saying, just that face-to-face interaction that we can get. Even this type of an audio really is better than just texting.
Right.
So
right.
what would you say?
That I absolutely agree with what Sandra was saying, because I think we need to get back to, I don't know about you, but one of the top things that I hear a lot in my practice is the misinterpretation of emails and texts, because you can't get number one, you can't get the eye contact. This is the best we can do with eye contact, but at least we can visualize, And so I think actually we've kind of adapted over the past 6 or 7 months to doing this and being able to read. I know I have as a practitioner, but I think also allowing for the fact that when you hear the voice, you hear the nuances in the voice, and you can also ask for a clarification without it seeming like it's an attack. And I think that is one of the things in my experience. I think the more that we rely on just the black and whiteness of a text or of an emoji, which is sort of like, what's that about? I happen to like the GIF world because I think they're funny, but that is another sort of, passive way of being able to give our emotions. The directness, and I say for families, basically, like a lot of what I teach is learning to validate each other's experience. That must be really hard for you. Oh, I hear what you're saying, and that sounds really, really, really interesting. Tell me more about that. This is the stuff we learn when we go to school, Jason.
Yes, it is.
My estimation, I was never good at math, so I can say this. Skip the trigonometry, skip the calculus in high school. Let's throw in some courses like this.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
know.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Add to it because of that reciprocal. Sandra, what I again hear Carol talking about a lot is the inability, or Carol, see if you would agree with this. It's almost taking that two-dimensional communication to a three-dimensional and a four-dimensional aspect. And
Definitely.
when you have such a two-dimensional thing like a text back and forth, there's so much to be interpreted in the imagination of the person receiving it. And also on the person sending it, there, you just don't have that intimate connection. Text
Yes.
messaging or getting a letter in the mail is just a very two-dimensional experience. You know,
Mhm.
so you need that. What do they say? How much percentage? And I think this changes all the time when I hear it, but a large majority of the percentage of communication is not the words
No.
that we're saying. I
No.
mean, it's really not even. Uh, it's more along the lines of our body language and our intonation of our tone and those types of things, which we can't get in emojis.
No,
GIFs are funny. I do. Is it a GIF or a GIF? See, I don't even know how to
I
say
have
it.
no idea.
But
I
it's
don't
one of
know.
those two. But at least those are a bit. They're like 2.5 dimensional. Because you
Yeah.
still get the movement to it. But there's nothing that replaces the ability to connect on that 3 and 4 dimensional level. And when I say fourth dimension, what I'm talking about is actually in person, to where you can reach out and touch the other person.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
sometimes just putting your hand on their shoulder is more powerful than any emoji
I
you'll
think
ever
it's,
get.
it's probably
Uh,
worth it's probably worth mentioning as well the sort of dangerous side of this, because it can be a tool that's used for people to hide behind, and they deliberately, intentionally choose to use that mode of communication. And what it does to
Very good point.
Yes.
is quite debilitating. And over a long period of time, you just see the relationship being destroyed more and more and more. And so I think we have to be clever ourselves and watch and just see, well, why am I always texting you? Why can't we talk? And are you choosing to do this out of choice because you may be afraid? But certainly there's the darker side, which is that it's actually used as a weapon, and it's intentionally there to cause you to struggle. And gaslighting, or whatever psychological term you use, it is widely used, maybe in office situations as well, where bosses just choose to just
Hmm.
not face their team members face to face, but they'll just email them because that's what they want to do. But for relationships, and you've invested a lot of time, and you love that person, or you have strong feelings with them, I think for me it's becoming a non-negotiable. You will not speak to me face to face or on the phone or whatever it is. It's not the value in the relation. It's not a valued relationship. I'm
Good
coming
point.
more and more. I really am. I'm becoming. Perhaps I'm getting old, but it's for mature people who I think who carried life experience. The best way to communicate that is through word, and we want that, don't we? World Mental Health Day. Or,
I
if our message from the three of us today was, right, okay, everyone, sort your problems out, just text each other, okay? That's what we need to do. Of course, that's what we have to do sometimes, but I'm sure that's not going to be our message coming out of this chat today.
Yep.
No, not at all. And I think, again, hiding behind that two-dimensional experience, it's also a way to very much control the conversation sometimes too. And I think people do that for all kinds of reasons. I think, Sandra, you're talking about it today as far as the personal aspects of that. Some people, and Carol, jump in on this, but I think some people, they just don't know how to communicate otherwise,
Yeah.
or they're afraid to communicate
Yeah.
in another way. There's so many things that we just don't know, and unless
Yeah.
we have that open conversation with them about it. But yeah, I can see how it can be very much of a control aspect as well, because there's nothing reciprocal about that type of communication
Definitely.
either. It's very asynchronous. Asynchronous. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
It's like there's that part of like an ongoing communication, like we're having here today. At least we can banter back and forth. We have that conversation back and forth. But when it comes to that automated type of thing, like emails and text messages and these things, I can shoot one to you, and then I don't even have to. I don't even have to even tell you that I've even received the one back yet or not. Or, oh, I didn't see that. Or, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry I didn't respond. Or, and so it can be used in a very negative way. you know. And on the other side of it, whenever we don't get the response back right away, we also then too can take it and internalize it as whatever message that we want to internalize based on our experience at the moment, if that makes sense to you.
Yeah, no, totally. Yeah, just to kind of really wrap up on that, you know, it's there's two things I kind of come to light for me, which is the and I love this phrase, the keyboard warrior, you know, and
Oh yes.
and of course, you know, that's a power thing. You know, I can be whoever I want to be, and then the second part of that is, of course, then the image of the Wizard of Oz behind the curtain. You know, what happens? So
yes,
absolutely. Yeah.
I think Sandra's got to plug in her computer.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's all right. I was like, we just lost Sandra. Out she goes. No, she's plugging in the computer, everybody.
Yeah,
but yeah,
it's real life here on these shows.
It
right?
is real life. Yeah. You know, I don't think anything today has gone as planned. You know, it's so for people who are listening and that will see the video, I would like very much to invite Carol and invite Sandra back for a more formal type of a conversation that we had planned. But literally, folks, and we so apologize. I apologize. It's really on my end. I could not get my computer and my programming to work today, so we were very delayed in getting our start. But I would like to have everybody back on again in the future, very near future, maybe, to continue these types of conversations.
Absolutely.
Because not only is it World Mental Health Day today, we're in a world mental health crisis, I think.
We're in a World Mental Health Day every day.
Every day, yes.
Yeah.
It's so important for people to have these open conversations.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Sandra, tell us a little bit. I know you need to go, and I want to respect your time because it's coming up, and you're going to have to get up very early for a morning show. But just before you leave, can you tell us a little bit kind of what the environment is and what the dynamic is like there in the UK, particularly in your area in Coventry, about how people are handling the pandemic at this point?
I mean, right now we're waiting for news from our Prime Minister on Monday about possibly a further lockdown, which I think a lot of people are taking a shot and take a breath about. Currently, there are restrictions. I mean, our own daughter is at university, and after 8 days, some universities arrived at university day one and went straight into lockdown. So there's that going on. There's the whole issue of self-isolating, people needing to go back to work, coming to the end of a furlough scheme at the end of October, and anticipating lots of job losses, which have already started now. And that is really heavy, really, really heavy.
Yes.
Young people are frightened because they're seeing people are coming off furlough and the competition for jobs is greater because you've got mature people who've been working in a furloughed role versus young kids that just left school to university because they couldn't get into university anyway because of all the A-level whatever. So we've got this jobs crisis. And at the BBC where I work, we've just launched a campaign to try and find £10 million worth of work for people. So we've become a one-stop shop for anyone looking for work that we will talk about on every show and also have a rolling program of jobs that people can access online. And around all that, we're offering interview techniques and all the things that you associate with marketing. So that's our practical way of helping the immediate problem. But there is a lot of mental health issues, always talking about that on the radio. The show that I always have guests that have come through the most horrific situations, and if people have lost family members, it's tragic out there. So what we're doing, even the small moments that we've taken to just talk apart today, I think will help somebody.
Right.
There's a lot going on, and we even in my own family, we lost my aunt. That was in April. But the repercussions of that are still there.
Yes.
And I want to think about how I can care or well-being opportunity for people who've lost friends and relatives and haven't been able to talk about it and the worst thing, and Carol, you can imagine if you haven't seen that lost one before they die, that there's no closure, is there? I mean, the fact that it was held the hand of your aunt or your grandparent and saw them pass, those things live with you forever. So we've got a lot of people with angst inside them, and I don't know how we unpack all that. But I'm a musician, and I want to try and do that through music somehow. But we're not walking zombies. It's not that, but I think we're all carrying that big bag.
Yep.
We are carrying the big bag.
Yeah.
So, Sandra, I appreciate your willingness to jump on. Carol, I appreciate your willingness to jump on and even get just the small 15, 20 minutes that we've done today.
Yeah.
I would love to have you ladies
Yeah.
back and let's do
Great.
this again.
Yeah, we'll continue another time.
Yeah, we'll continue the conversation. And again, for viewers out there that are listening, we'd love to hear back from you. What kind of topics would you like for us to discuss? What things are you guys dealing with that maybe we haven't touched on? Because all of those ideas are things that we would love to bring to the attention of the viewers that are watching and chiming in with us on these conversations. So please let us know kind of what your thoughts are. And ladies, again, I appreciate you guys so much. Both of you are very dear friends. I've always said I love it when my friends get to meet my friends. So
yes, we have a new friend.
Yay!
Yes.
Yay! What's your name again? Sorry. 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 Sorry, I'll behave myself.
Yeah, my name's Jason.
Right.
My name's Jason. All right, guys. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I appreciate you guys coming on, and we will see you all very soon.
Okay.
All right. Yes. Good to see you, Carol.
Okay.
Thanks,
Bye,
Jason.
guys.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, we'll see you soon.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Bye.